When it comes to selling silver, the average investor has it all wrong. I mean, completely backward. While most people are glued to the spot price, their heart racing with every tick up or down, just praying for that one giant payday, the ultra wealthy are using a totally different strategy to quietly lock in their profits. They play from a book that has almost nothing to do with luck, greed, or fear. In this video, I'm pulling back the curtain on that playbook. This isn't some complex Wall Street trick you can't use. It's a fundamental shift in how you think that separates the amateur from the pro, the gambler from the dynasty builder. Stick with me, because what you're about to learn will permanently change how you look at every ounce of silver you own. Let's be honest. For most people, the silver journey looks like this. You hear the buzz about inflation or economic uncertainty. You get that feeling in your gut that the cash in your savings account is losing power. So you do the smart thing. You decide to protect your wealth and buy physical silver. You feel secure holding it. It's real, it's tangible, it's been money for thousands of years. But then the obsession kicks in. You download a price tracking app. You check it when you wake up, at lunch, and one last time before bed. You dive into YouTube videos and forums, getting lost in a sea of conflicting predictions. One guy says silver is going to the moon, maybe hitting $50 by early 2026. Another warns a recession could make it a nosedive. Suddenly, your emotions are tied to that little number on the screen. The price jumps $1 and you feel like a genius. You start mentally spending the profits, thinking, I should have bought more. That's greed talking. You picture the price doubling and you tell yourself, I'm not selling until it hits $100. Then the market does what it always does. It corrects. The price drops $2. That genius feeling vanishes, replaced by a knot in your stomach. Fear starts to whisper, did I buy at the top? What if it keeps falling? Maybe I should sell now and cut my losses. This is panic. This is the emotional roller coaster every average investor is strapped into. They are completely reactive. Their decisions are driven by the two most destructive forces in any market: fear and greed. They bought silver to find financial peace and instead built themselves a new, more intense emotional prison. The real problem is they believe selling is a single dramatic event, a moment where they have to perfectly predict the absolute peak. They treat it like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. And that one flawed belief is the source of all the pain and mistakes that follow. It almost always guarantees they'll sell at the wrong time for the wrong reasons. So where does this reactive emotional approach inevitably lead? It leads to a downward spiral of mistakes that systematically destroy wealth. This isn't just theory. This is what happens to millions of investors. Let's create a character. We'll call him Bob. Bob bought a good amount of silver a few years ago. He was proud of his stack. He did his homework on buying, but never gave a single thought to selling. His entire strategy was price go up, the panic sell. The market gets choppy and silver drops 15% in a few weeks. The news is all about a strengthening dollar. Bob's friends, who called him crazy for buying pet rocks, are smugly asking him how his investment is doing. The fear is just too much. Bob tells himself, I just need to get out. He rushes to the nearest dealer and sells everything. He doesn't shop around for the best price, just takes the first offer to stop the emotional bleeding. 2 months later, the market reverses and silver climbs past his original purchase price. Bob not only locked in a loss, he missed all future gains. The regret is crushing. The greed trap. The market goes parabolic. Silver is on a tear, blowing past $35, then $40. Analysts are screaming for $50. Bob is ecstatic. He feels like a genius. He had a mental target of $40 to sell, but now that it's here, greed takes over. He thinks, why sell at $40 when it's obviously going to $60? I'd be an idiot to sell now. So he holds. The market peaks at $48 and then begins a long, slow bleed back down to around $35. He had his golden opportunity, the price he dreamed of, and he let it slip away because he got too greedy. In both cases, Bob made huge, wealth-destroying errors. He was emotional. He was impatient. He didn't have a plan. Selling was just a reaction to market chaos, not a predetermined action. He also completely overlooked the logistics. He never realized the price on his app isn't the price he gets. He didn't account for the dealer's spread, the difference between their buy and sell price, which can be significant. He just walked in and took what they offered. This is exactly where the average investor loses. The wealthy watch people like Bob panic sell at the bottom and greed hold at the top. And they understand that emotion is the enemy of profit. Their secret isn't a crystal ball, it's a boring, unemotional, and ruthlessly effective system. And it's time we learn it. So what's the big secret? What's in the Billionaire's Playbook for selling silver? The most important thing to get is that the secret isn't a single tip. It's a complete 180-degree shift in your mindset. While the average investor asks, when should I sell? The wealthy investor asks, under what conditions will I sell? Read that again. It's subtle, but it's a world of difference. The first question tries to predict the future, which is impossible. The second question means you have a strategy. It replaces prediction with preparation. It replaces emotion with logic. Here's the secret. The process of selling your silver begins the exact same day you buy it. Before a single ounce goes into their vault, they've already defined their exit. They aren't reacting. They're architects of their investments from start to finish. They get that holding an asset is only half the battle. Cashing in on that asset is the other, equally important half, and they'd never leave it to chance or the whims of a volatile market. They operate with a predefined plan. This plan is their fortress against fear and greed. When the market is crashing, the plan tells them what to do. When the market is soaring, the plan tells them what to do. They don't have to think, they don't have to feel, they just have to execute. This shift in thinking is the foundation for everything else. It's the understanding that you aren't a passenger on the silver market's wild ride. You're the driver of your own financial vehicle. You decide the destination and set the course. The market just provides the road conditions. Your job is to follow your map. So let's get into the specifics. What does this Billionaire's Playbook actually look like? It's built on 3 core pillars. Before we dive into the first pillar of the playbook, if you're finding this valuable and you want more strategy the wealthy use to build and protect their fortunes, take a second to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. My goal here is to give you the clear, actionable knowledge that's so often gatekept by the financial elite. Your subscription helps the channel grow and makes sure you won't miss what's next. All right, let's unlock that first secret. The first and most critical part of the playbook is what I call the exit protocol. This is simply establishing your selling conditions before you're ever in the hot seat of a moving market. It's strategic, unemotional investing in its purest form. This protocol isn't about picking one single price. That's still a gambler's move. It's about setting up a tiered selling strategy. The wealthy rarely, if ever, sell an entire position in one go. They sell in increments, scaling out as the market rises and hits their preset targets. Here's how it works. Let's say you decide silver is a great buy today. Before you purchase a single ounce, you should sit down and write out your exit protocol. It might look something like this. Number one, if the spot price of silver hits $45, I'll sell 25% of my stack. Number two, if the spot price of silver hits $60, I will sell another 30% of my stack. And number three, if the spot price of silver reaches $80, I will sell another 30% of my stack. And number four, core position. I will hold the final 15% as a long-term generational wealth and catastrophic hedge with no plans to sell. Look at what this simple written plan does. First, it rips all the emotion out of the process. When silver hits $45, you don't ask, should I sell? Or what if it goes higher? The decision is already made. Your only job is to execute. You did the thinking when you were calm and rational, not in the middle of a market frenzy. Second, it guarantees you take profits. One of the biggest regrets of investors is watching a great investment go all the way up and all the way back down without ever cashing in. By selling in tiers, you are systematically locking in gains. You might not sell everything at the absolute peak, but you'll have captured real profit, which is way better than capturing no profit at all. Third, you still get to participate in more upside. By selling only a portion at each target, you still have skin in the game if silver keeps climbing to $100 or more. This helps you avoid the classic seller's remorse of getting out too early. You get the psychological win of taking profits and the financial win of keeping a position. So how do they set these targets? They don't just pull numbers out of thin air. They often use basic chart analysis, not as a crystal ball, but to find historically important price levels. They might see that silver has struggled to break through a certain price in the past, making that a logical spot to take some chips off the table. They use data to inform their strategy, not drama from the headlines. This is the professional approach. Define your conditions, write them down, execute without emotion. That's the exit protocol. The second secret in the playbook goes beyond just thinking about silver in dollars. The truly savvy investors, the ones who've done this for decades, watch a metric the average person has never even heard of, the gold to silver ratio. What is it? It's simple. The gold to silver ratio is just how many ounces of silver it takes to buy 1 ounce of gold. If gold is at $3,600 and an ounce of silver is at $40, the ratio is about 90-1. Why does this matter? Because for centuries, the ratio has moved within a somewhat predictable range. By watching it, you can tell if silver is historically cheap or expensive compared to gold. This is a total game changer. Historically, the ratio has often bounced between 50-1 and 80-1. When the ratio gets really high, like 80-1 or 90-1, it's a strong signal that silver is undervalued compared to gold. For smart investors, this is often a screaming buy signal for silver. But here's the secret for selling. When the ratio gets very low, say it drops to 50-1, 40-1, or even less, it signals that silver has become expensive relative to gold. This is when the pros get interested in selling their silver. But here's the key. They often aren't selling silver for cash. They're rotating their assets. They sell their expensive silver and use the money to buy cheap gold. They are playing the ratio. Let's walk through it. An investor buys 8,000 ounces of silver when the ratio is 80-1. At that moment, their silver could be traded for 100 ounces of gold. A few years later, silver has a huge rally and the ratio drops to 40-1. Now, their 8,000 ounces of silver are worth 200 ounces of gold. The billionaires see this. The dollar price might still be climbing and everyone else is getting greedy, but the smart money sees the historical relationship is at an extreme. So they execute the plan. They sell 8,000 ounces of silver and immediately buy 200 ounces of gold. They have literally doubled their gold holdings without spending a single new dollar. They just traded an overvalued asset for an undervalued one. Then they wait. Over the next few years, the ratio almost always reverts towards its historical average, which is why it's called an average. When it climbs back to 70 to 1 or 80 to 1, they can reverse the trade, selling their 200 ounces of gold to buy a massive 14 or 16,000 ounces of silver. This is the long game. This is how dynasties preserve and grow their wealth. They aren't just thinking about cashing out. They're thinking about moving assets around strategically. For them, selling silver is often just a step to acquire more of another hard asset at a better price. The third and final secret is where the strategy meets the real world. A brilliant plan is useless if you mess up the execution. Liquidation logistics are the practical steps that ensure you get the absolute most money in your pocket when you decide to sell. There are 4 parts to mastering your logistics. First, know your product. You have to know what you own. Treating all silver the same is a painful and common mistake. Is it a government-backed bullion coin like an American Silver Eagle or Canadian Maple Leaf? Those are the most common and easiest to sell. Is it a round or bar from a private mint? Also easy to sell, but you might get a slightly different price. Or, and this is critical, do you own junk silver, which are pre-1965 US dimes, quarters, and half dollars? Or do you have numismatic collectible coins? Selling a rare collectible coin for its melt value is like selling a classic Ferrari for scrap metal prices. Do a quick inventory before you sell. A few minutes of research can save you from a $1,000 mistake. Second, find the right buyer. Not all buyers are the same. Rushing to the nearest pawn shop or we buy gold sign is the fastest way to get a lowball offer. You have several options. Local coin shops. These are great for convenience and getting cash fast. A good local dealer can be a valuable partner, but you have to shop around. Get quotes from at least 3 different shops. You'll be surprised by how much the offers can vary. Online bullion dealers. Major online dealers are often the best bet for selling larger amounts of common bullion. Their buyback prices are usually posted right on their websites, and because of their size, they often offer the best rates. You'll have to securely ship your silver, but the higher payout is often worth it. Private sales. Selling directly to another person can sometimes get you the best prices because you cut out the middleman. But this is also the most risk and takes more effort. Third, understand the math. The pros are obsessed with the numbers. The price you get is not the spot price. It will be the spot price minus the dealer's fee or spread. A reputable dealer will be transparent about this. Don't be afraid to ask, what's the spot price right now? And what are you paying relative to spot for this exact coin? If a buyer is cagey about their pricing, walk away. Timing the transaction. This is a small but professional detail. The silver market is most active during business hours when the big markets like New York and London are open. Selling on a weekday, generally between 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Time, can sometimes get you a slightly better price. It's a minor edge, but the wealthy look for every edge they can get. Mastering these logistics ensures your brilliant strategy doesn't fall apart at the finish line. It's the difference between getting 90% of your silver's value and getting 98%. On a large stack, that difference is a fortune. So let's recap the Billionaire's Playbook. It has nothing to do with a crystal ball and everything to do with discipline. It starts with a mindset shift. Selling isn't an emotional reaction, it's a pre-planned strategy. The playbook has 3 pillars. First, the exit protocol, which is creating a written tiered selling plan before you even buy. Second, the ratio game, using the gold to silver ratio to intelligently rotate assets. And third, the liquidation logistic, knowing your product, finding the right buyer, and understanding the math to get the best price. This is the system. It's not flashy, but it's incredibly effective. It's designed to protect you from your own worst enemy, your own emotional impulses. By adopting this approach, you stop being a gambler tossed around by the market and become the captain of your own financial ship, navigating calmly toward your goal. Now I want to turn it over to you. What's the one rule from this playbook you're going to use in your own strategy? Is it writing out an exit protocol? Or maybe you'll start tracking the gold to silver ratio? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want to keep learning how to build and protect your wealth with strategies that actually work, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching. God bless.